lights in the trees, a trick of the frost, a ghost on the breeze. But I saw a mirror older than me, staring through time like it wanted to speak. The forest went silent, the world held its breath. Something was watching beyond life and death. We stepped through the green, boots breaking the seal, not chasing a light, but something too real. I came back with salt on my skin, my mind split wide when the storm got in. They call it a test, but I know the deal. History blinks beneath the green veil. Yeah.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 7, The Blood Vault of the Green Veil series, which will end on Christmas Eve. That's when the 22nd chapter will air, so make sure you're caught up, because I think now is where it's really going to get cooking. Guys, what did you think about the first 10, quickly?
The first 10, oh, it's amazing. What I like about it is that you got to watch it more than once, every chapter, because there's something in the songs, there's something that you can easily miss, and then there's things that you can put together like a jigsaw puzzle between each chapter.
I agree with that, and I think we've both been like doing detective work to see where this is going. And John hinted to us last week during the live show on Saturday that wait till chapter 12. Well, we're on 11 right now, so
I think the story is starting to unveil itself. That you're finding out that this is more. I call it more intense than anything that I've seen in ufology before.
Well, let's just get right to it. It's about 18 minutes in length, so I'm just going to quickly read the summary, a short summary of this chapter. So it is Chapter 11, The Blood Vault. Beneath the Appalachian granite lies more than just Cold War bunkers. Jack Barrett descends into the heart of Raven Rock with CIA analyst Huntergreen and Dr. Elias Voss, unaware that his past, his bloodline, and a 45-year-old anomaly are about to converge. In the core of the mountain, reality begins to thin. Secrets buried since the Capel Green UFO encounter in 1980 surface, connecting Jack and his son, Leo, to a network of genetic harmonics, remote perception experiments, and hidden government protocols. What started as a classified UAP incident is now spiraling toward a global convergence. Jack is the translator. Leo is the inheritor. The signal is calling them home. The loop is closing. So let's just play this right now. Chapter 11, The Blood Vault.
Whispers in the trees, they called your name. A shadow burned in silent flame. Crossed the line but never left the shell. 45 winters beneath the skin. Now the pulse calls you back again. The signal remembers, the blood never lies. The forest still hums with your own disguise. The sun you dreamed is waking inside, where silence survives. In glass and steel, the loop completes. A soul divided, time repeats. No more running, no more fear. You were always already here. The signal remembers, the fracture is whole. One name reborn to carry the soul. When truth is a weapon and time is the thread, the echo is never dead. You're already inside.
Raven Rock Mountain Complex, December 19th, 2025, 0400 hours, Eastern Standard Time. The helicopter blades groaned as the descent began. Jack Barrett sat in the dim hold, flanked by CIA analyst Huntergreen and Dr. Elias Voss. His attorney, David Rourke, was left behind by design. No one spoke. The only light came from the red glow of instrumentation and the occasional flicker of Voss's datapad. Jack's breathing was slow, but not calm. Something below, beneath the rock, beneath the lies, was pulling at him. They landed at an unmarked helipad tucked inside the folds of Raven Rock. The bunker doors opened with hydraulic force, revealing a corridor lined with matte black blast walls and a line of armed guards with no insignia. Clearance beyond top secret, above black budget. This was the core. They were escorted deep into the mountain, through reinforced checkpoints and retinal scans. Voss gave quiet acknowledgments at each station. Huntergreen stayed silent, observant. Jack watched the walls. They vibrated as if reality itself thinned the deeper they went. Finally, they entered a briefing chamber lit with soft overhead panels and lined with metal chairs. The president was already there, flanked by 2 National Security Council officials and the director of the Office of Net Assessment. There were no introductions. Voss stepped forward. "We're here because the protocol has reached final alignment," he said. "What Jack carries is no longer just embedded. It's active, and the secondary node, his son, is being brought here now." Jack froze. "Leo?" Voss nodded. "He's en route under Pentagon security. You'll see him soon. But you need to understand, this wasn't chance. The 2 of you were part of a designed convergence, genetic harmonics, exposure resonance, heritability profiles. None of it random." Jack's mind reeled. The mother? Who was she really? "She was chosen," Voss said bluntly. "Monitored since adolescence. Her own lineage was tied to a Soviet exfiltrated subject from the original Stargate trials. Remote perception, synaptic layering, suppressed psionic response. She was fertile ground for a fusion experiment. You were the catalyst." Huntergreen stepped forward, expression tight. What emerged was not a normal child. Leo began showing signal response at age 5, pulse variance at 9. At 13, he activated a harmonic field in a secure chamber without contact. You weren't told because he wasn't ready. But now he is. Jack sat, staring at the floor. And what am I? You're the original interface, Voss replied. Your encounter at Capel Green fractured space-time locally, but it also wrote a new pathway across bloodlines. Leo is the inheritor, but you... Voss paused. You're the translator. You bridge the past and what's coming. Jack swallowed. You kept this from me for 25 years. We had to, Huntergreen added, until you reached neurological convergence, until your signal field stabilized. You weren't safe, not to yourself or to him, but now? The signal is self-sustaining. You're no longer vulnerable. You're becoming recursive. Jack's voice was low. What happens now? Voss stepped forward and placed a small device on the table. A shimmering 3D schematic hovered above it, 2 waveform strands interlocking across a void. Your minds will be merged, briefly, he said. The encounter is scheduled for 0700. Before that, you'll undergo conditioning to prevent cascade effects. But first, you need to remember how this started. Raven Rock, memory induction. Chamber, 0500 hours. Jack lay inside a curved titanium pod, cool metal pressing against his spine. The chamber was nearly silent except for the faint hum of localized EM dampeners. Huntergreen watched from the other side of the Plex alloy, arms crossed. Voss stood by the neural interface station. As the induction began, memories flooded Jack's perception, not images, but structures. Bioluminescent threads, synaptic echoes, and the pulse of the anomaly, the moment it touched him in 1980. But this time, it responded. Leo, a voice whispered. Not human, not alien, but a synthesis, then a flashback. Flashback. March 23rd, 1998. Wiesbaden Army Medical Center. Jack stood over the delivery table, his hands trembling. The woman, Elena, squeezed his hand once, then let go. The infant emerged silent. But as the attending nurse leaned down, a monitor flatlined. Not the babies, but the instruments themselves. Every watch in the room stopped, and the infant opened his eyes. Not newborn eyes, but something older. Later that night, military personnel entered the maternity ward. Jack was sedated. The child was tagged. Elena was told it was a routine genetic screening, but 3 floors down, Leo's blood was already in transit. To dreamland. Raven Rock. Outside the chamber, 0607 hours. David Rourke stood in a side corridor, pacing behind a one-way pane of reinforced glass. He had been kept from entry. He was no longer Jack's legal counsel, at least not for what was unfolding below. This was beyond law, beyond nation. He opened a restricted folder marked Operation Resonant Echo, Fold Event Convergence, predicted January 16th, 2026. Analyst note, reintegration event is time-anchored. Target is expected to encounter original consciousness displaced during initial exposure, 1980 to 1981 Capel event. Cycle completion, 45 years. Risk, total identity collapse. 5 days. Jack had 5 days before he would re-encounter the version of himself that never returned from the field. The Jack that remained trapped within the anomaly since 1980, waiting to collapse back into this version, waiting to become whole. Presidential briefing room, lower level 3, 016 hours. The president sat in the subterranean chamber beneath Raven Rock, eyes fixed on a countdown projected in cold blue light. Convergence window, T-5 days, 3 hours, 18 minutes. National Security Advisor Chen adjusted her glasses. We've exhausted containment. It accelerated on its own once Leo stabilized. The president frowned. Then what happens when they connect? Voss's voice over secure line. We don't know. But the anomaly seems to want reintegration. We believe Jack's 1980 consciousness is still broadcasting. That signal completes the loop when he merges with Leo. Huntergreen followed. We don't just observe this anymore, sir. We're inside it now. Jack is the convergence vector. Leo is the mirror. The president whispered, and the world. Silence. Elevator shaft. Descending to the convergence chamber. 0620 hours. Jack stood beside Voss in the lift. Metal walls shimmered slightly as if folding around unseen currents. You feel it? Voss asked. Jack nodded. It's like pressure in the spine. Like the air remembers me. You're close, Voss said. What entered the anomaly in 1980 never really came back. You're an echo, but you've stabilized. Now, the original is calling home. Jack breathed deep. And if I collapse, then your son becomes the carrier, and the war begins. Convergence chamber, 0630 hours. Jack stepped through the threshold. The chamber was massive, circular, alive. Energy pulsed beneath the glass floor. Light spiraled from unseen seams in the walls, forming an atmospheric dome. Resonant shielding flickered like trapped auroras. In the center stood Leo. Taller now, composed, wearing matte black fatigues marked only with a silver shoulder line. He looked older than his years, 27 going on timeless. You made it, Leo said softly. Jack approached, stunned. You've been waiting? Leo nodded. I've seen all the versions. But this one feels complete. They stood face to face. The air shimmered between them. They said I was the translator, Jack muttered, and you were the stabilizer. They weren't wrong, Leo replied. But it's more than that. I remember 1980. I saw it. Through you, through me. We're not father and son anymore. We're in sequence. Jack reached forward. Leo mirrored him. Their palms met. Flash. The woods. Capel Green. The object is rising. Sergeant B screaming. Jack is being pulled forward. Leo was standing across the clearing, a child in the trees, watching, always watching. Flash. Inside the anomaly. Timeless light. Equations spiraling. Jack Barrett. Leo Barrett. Signal accepted. They weren't two anymore. They were one waveform, finally synchronized. And far below, sealed behind 6 meters of blast-proof alloy, the mirrored saint stirred. He's closing the loop, it whispered. But I've already rewritten it. Jack and Leo stood motionless, hands still connected. The convergence field shimmered around them, threads of violet light crackling where their palms met, not burning, but rewriting. The chamber had become a tuning fork for consciousness. The anomaly wasn't just watching, it was responding. Jack gasped, staggered by what he saw inside Leo's eyes. It wasn't just his son staring back at him. It was the light from Capel Green. It was the boy in the trees. It was himself. 2 timelines, 2 bloodlines, 1 frequency, and now, for the first time in 45 years, the signal was whole. A deep subterranean pulse rang out, low, seismic, alive. Somewhere in the dark belly of the earth, systems activated, ancient ones, not man-made. Above the chamber, Voss and Huntergreen watched the readings spike. We're registering internal feedback, Voss muttered. Neurological lock. Recursive consciousness. They're inside the convergence band. Then, silence. All monitors dropped to black. Jack's voice echoed across the chamber, though his lips never moved. He was never behind me in time. He was always ahead, waiting. The room vibrated. A soft tearing sound. The lights folded inward, and far below, beneath Raven Rock's lowest level, the mirrored saint stirred for the final time. The translator has met the mirror, it whispered. Now let the threshold open.
Through the silence of time, I walked alone, but the stars knew my name in undertone. From Rendlesham woods to Saturn skies, I carry the echo, I lived the why. It wasn't the end, it was unfolding. Not contact made, but truth beholding. Beyond the war, beyond the flame, we weren't just shadows, we became. We became.
All right, gentlemen. Now, Chris, I'm gonna just say quickly, the first thing that I was like, whoa, was not just about Leo, Jack's son, but also how it seemed like they were preparing this for Jack's wife, preparing the perfect person to match him up with because of the genetic, historical genetic, ancestral genetic makeup of her. She was pretty much not really.
Well, I think what they did was take the entire, looking back at the past, they took the entire family and manipulated and converted it to the way they wanted with the birth of Leo, the son, who automatically is instilled with a conduit of power that has to connect with Jack. It's like putting electrical pieces together, to conduct electricity. Well, the two of them have to merge in order to take the signal and take it to its original source.
One thing, and I want to ask John this one. It said that the original, let's just call it the original Jack, was still caught inside of the original incident in 1980, and he still had to reconnect with his
consciousness, Bill.
Yes, his consciousness with the original self, his physical. And his son, his contact and connection with his son made that transition whole, where he was able to come back to be his whole self again. I mean, it seems like his son, it's like it's just wild, the concept that the son was there from the future back in time to witness what was going on there before he was even born. It's like all this time stuff is like got my mind like, oh my gosh, this is intense.
Well, remember what John had mentioned before, that when he was in that bubble, that parallel time thing, he had split. He had part of his consciousness taken, but when he came back, that consciousness still stayed. Part of that consciousness still stayed within that bubble. And when the bubble collapsed, it didn't come out. It didn't disappear. It stayed within that parallel time frame. So it was John's consciousness was actually signaling, or Jack's consciousness was actually signaling to the point where they were starting to pick it up once the bubble was open. Are we on the right track with this, John?
Communications, yeah.
What a simple reply.
Now, the thing that was very interesting is how Leo plays into this, as from birth, it's almost like he was groomed to be part of this. Now, they didn't create this, but they certainly wanted to capture the moment of when they could control it, if they could. They weren't sure if they could.
to me, it looks like they were prepared in the event that Jack had a child because of what happened, that the likelihood is his offspring would have something to do with the genetic makeup, and because of the cross connection, the genetic makeup between his mom and dad.
See, I think Leo became an activation device in respect to what it is, and that he had to be connected to John, because I mean, the way I interpret it, one is a power source, one's an activation device. In order to send that signal to, and this is where it gets a little confusing, but it's interesting, to the phenomenon. But is the phenomenon a artificial intelligence, non-human person that is basically almost below them? So I mean, the interpretation I got is that this entity, I'll call it an entity for right now, but I'll probably have to change that. But the signal is being absorbed by this entity. Now, this entity is probably artificial intelligence, NHI, as John has explained in the past. So there's a communication link going on between Leo to Jack to the entity.
Well, we only, believe it or not, we only got a couple of minutes, but I'm just going to finish it with my thought. Then, John, you can close it out. Transceiver, transmitter, receiver. You usually have that in a connection. Secondly, what if this is humanity in the future with the technology available with them then, because certain issues arise in the past that they actually had the technology and the ability to use time travel to go back and try to possibly warn or correct things that are going to happen in their time period. So I'm still curious, what is the origin here? What is the source? What is the signal source? Is it something that's ancient, or is it something that has actually come from the future and has affected everything in the past? John, give us your closing thoughts.
12 will tell you more. And all I'm going to say is this. If something in the future needed to be changed or evaluated or becomes a defining moment, you'd want to influence the past to make sure you get to that proper moment. That's the best I can tell you. And it's going to go from there. 12 is going to really expand everything.
I kind of got that vibe just now.
But you really got to watch 10 and 11 to really grasp what 12 is going to tell you.
All right, folks. So go back, do a little homework. You just seen chapter 11. You may want to go back to 10 as John recommends. And we'll be on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern with the live show, the preview review show. So I hope you enjoyed chapter 11. We hope to see you all next week for chapter 12. So stay tuned. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you then. So till then, have a good night, everybody.